All right. Good afternoon, good evening, all our fans out there. It is another edition of the NFL Mock Draft. As always, it is Friday. It is Good Friday above that. So happy Easter to everybody that celebrates and everything. All that they celebrate all that good stuff. But above all, happy Friday to everybody as it is time to move forward with the draft as we're moving on to the 13th pick in this year's draft held by the Raiders. We're gonna see where me and Brandon thinks. We're gonna see where me and Brandon think the Raiders should do in this year's mock draft. So it's gonna be a little exciting. As I mentioned yesterday, talking about the Raiders, it felt like two seasons in one. And we're gonna get to why that is. And speaking to the man himself, if you're on Instagram Live at the All Sports Talk Podcast, it is our good friend Brandon. How are you doing today, my man? I am good. I am good. You know how excited I am for this pick. This pick is gonna can't wait. I'm a little nervous to see what you do for us. I can't wait. But we do have a little bit of news though. Hassan Reddick is now a New York Jet, as the Eagles traded him to the Jets. I guess that's one way to replace Bryce Huff is Hassan Reddick, and that's not a bad. That's not bad. Ta-da! Like it would have been unfair if Hassan Reddick and Bryce Huff were on the same. Like, come on, really? Like, really? We're gonna do this? We're gonna do this? Like, so that's basically what it was. Philly just paid for Bryce Huff, and the Jets had to give up a pretty hefty price, a second rounder for Bryce Huff, a pretty hefty price. A third rounder that it could essentially turn into a second rounder. So, a very good trade. I think it works out for both. I think it gives Hassan Reddick a fresh start, which I know is kind of weird because he's only been in Philly, but at that time, he was sort of like a cast off at that point when he got to Philly. And then he landed in Philadelphia, has had monster seasons back to back years. I think this is now his time to cash in on, and he's going to a good defensive unit. So I think it was just the Eagles get the pick, the Jets get the player. Good enough for me. That's the way I feel about it. Yeah, I mean that's essentially what it is, right? Like they just got younger, so it's all good. It's all good, but we'll see how that works. But now it is now time to move on to this episode here with the Raiders picking at 13. Brandon, are you ready to roll? Okay, so the Raiders finishing 8-9, finishing second in the division, which gives him the 13th pick in this year's draft. Had the 23rd best offense, and for the first time in quite a long time, they finally finished in top 10 overall defense, finishing ninth overall under the lineage of Patrick Graham. Now, I mentioned this yesterday. I mentioned it at the top of the show. This season felt like it was two seasons in one. And let's just start from the beginning. So, in a perfect world, Jimmy G would have been healthy. The offensive line would have been great. Josh McDaniels would have been the offensive coordinator we all expect him to be, right? And everything would have been perfect. And then now we have the defense. All we just needed was a stable offense, and possibly we could be sniffing playoffs, possibly sniffing division title or a playoff win. Something, right? I mean that's a perfect world, right? It didn't work out that way. Jimmy G never was able to recover. Josh McDaniels has finally proven himself that he is no longer eligible to be a head coach in the NFL ever, ever again. That's done. That's done. And this really was a weird season for the Raiders. It's very weird because they start off this year, they beat the Denver Broncos, right? Like, okay, hey, cool. What we normally do, business as usual, right? We head to Buffalo. All right, we know we're not nowhere near Buffalo's talent at that point. All right, so we're gonna lose that one. The Sunday night matchup, that was a tough matchup. It is what it is. then you just started to see the trickling effects. The Charger game, the Bears game, where instead of Aiden O'Connell, Brian Hoyer started. And I think this is where we have to hit pause. I think this is where we have to hit pause. So at that time frame, after the Chicago Bears game, the staff got together Monday, and it's all out there now. Everybody's talked about it. Everybody knows about it now. Josh McDaniels, the whole staff got together and pretty much said, okay, guys, so here's the deal. We play the Detroit Lions next Monday night. And Detroit, at that time, they were on their way to show that they were one of the better teams in the NFL. So we already had a high uphill battle. So what do? We need a reset. And staff member just started saying, you know what? What if we reset? What if we bring the players in? And let's just get it all out in the open, right? Like, let's just grieve our grievances, right? As I like to call it. Just grieve it out there. Grieve your grievances, right? Okay, cool. But Josh McDaniels said, okay, cool, but I need one of you to speak for the play, not for the players, but somewhere along the lines that a player can understand. In comes Antonio Pierce. So Tuesday happens, players get there, they do their training, they do their thing. Okay, here's the team meeting. Josh McDaniels gave the players open floor. Let it all out there. And if you watch the episode, if you watch that show podcast, The Pivot, with Channing, Fred Taylor, and Ryan Clark, and with Antonio Pierce on there, I think even Antonio Pierce said that was a bad idea. Because it was, from what I hear, it was very, very, I don't want to say aggressive. I don't think nobody meant harm to anybody. I just think it was very cutthroat, very honest, and at that time I can understand why some of the team leaders on that team had to be honest, because we got a badass pass rusher, we got a badass receiver, we got a bad, we have the talent, we're too damn lazy to put it together, and that was the feeling. And so the players said their thing. All right, cool. Antonio Pierce went up there, and he understands from a player standpoint what it's like to be in this situation. Because people forget, the year the Giants won the Super Bowl with Antonio Pierce, they started 0-2, 0-3. Pretty much they started in a way where it was like, nah, this team's just no good. Oh, they were bad. They literally had to fight for that wild card spot. They had to punch their way into that wild card spot. It was rough. It was a rough patch. So anyway, he goes up there and he says, listen, guys, I can understand the frustration. I can understand where you guys are coming from. Take it from me. I was in that situation. I was in your shoes. We started 0 and whatever. We had a meeting just like this. We let it all out. And then we went on to beat the New England Patriots, who were 17-0, and we beat them because we believed in each other. And that's the message, is you guys have to start believing in each other, encourage each other, call each other out, make sure that you guys are better. Now, at that point, I think that's a pretty strong message, right? I would have thought that was a pretty strong message. Listen, nothing's impossible, because I was in that shoes. I know we can do it because I've seen it. I experienced it. I lived it. Boom, team meeting's over. Literally after the meeting's over, Josh McDaniels goes up to Antonio Pierce and says to him, don't you ever talk about the Patriots that way again. Now, for the people that don't know who Antonio Pierce is, let me tell you who Antonio Pierce is. He's a former Super Bowl champion, a 10-year vet, I believe, in the league, something like that. 8 to 10 years in the league. Pro Bowler. Pro Bowler. defensive captain for the Giants. From Compton, California. This was his dream job. After ASU, this was his dream job. Because he's a fan, he was a fan as a kid, grew up in the streets of Los Angeles when the Raiders were in LA during his time, all that good stuff. And I can only imagine what he must have thought when Josh McDaniels started defending the Patriots over the team that he's coaching. I'm more shocked that Antonio Pierce didn't punch him in the face. Pretty much saying, I kicked your ass once on the field. I can kick your ass off the field if you want me to, too. Me and my boys stopped your offensive genius. And we held you to 14 with the great Randy Moss and the great Tom Brady. So I already kicked your ass on the field. I can kick your ass off the field if you want me to, too. Because the Patriots shouldn't even be on your mind right now. Fast forward a week later. Grievances are out. Okay, here's Monday Night Football. We got our asses handed to again. I literally did my Silver and Bro show the next day. Went over the game. I let out my grievances too. You saw the show. I let my grievances out too that day. Literally 4 hours later, as I'm sleeping. Like, this is some shit, man. Like, this is some like SpongeBob shit. 4 hours later, as I'm getting up, getting ready to start my day, the first thing I see is Josh McDaniels fired. Dave Ziegler fired. Okay. As a fan, I only thought, okay, it is what it is. Then I saw something I never thought I would see. Antonio Pierce named interim head coach. I'm like, the linebacker? What about Graham? Because, I mean, at that point, the only thing I thought of was Patrick Graham. And I'm like, well, he's been in talks about getting a head coaching job. So I'm like, maybe this is it. So next day, Wednesday, November 1st, 2023. I see the press conferences of Antonio Pierce and Champ Kelly. Both did an amazing job being respectful, being cordial, and just explaining like we're just going to do the best that we can. And I said, okay, I mean, I'll find out because you're talking this shit Wednesday. I'll see you guys Sunday. We got a date with the Giants. I'll see you guys Sunday. That was the weirdest week turnaround I've ever had in my life as a fan. Because for the first time in a long time, I actually looked at a guy who, whether you want to call him interim, whether you want to call him head coach, I had this weird feeling that I already thought the worst. Honestly, heading into that stadium, I'm going to be honest with you. Heading to that stadium, I thought the worst. Then they had that performance. I said, wow, the team looks different. That's what I said. I was literally on my seat going, where the fuck was this all year? What was this? Where's this? Where has this? Where has been this? Right? Where has this been? They win. It's great. I call my brother-in-law because he's a Giants fan. I tell him to go fuck himself. Fucking. No, I'm kidding. I tell him good game. I tell him good game. Next week, we, especially with Ben DiNucci, I don't know how many people would have been there. So I didn't want to. I didn't want to mess with that fire. You know. I can't just be doing that. You know. I just can't be doing that. But I love him. I love him. He knew it's all in good fun. Next week, play my sister's team, New York Jets. Sunday Night Football. I went on my show again. And I said, listen, this is fine and dandy. This is the honeymoon phase. We love this. Anything but Josh McDaniels, right? Do it again. They did it. Did it again. And I couldn't believe how they did it. Plain, tough football for 60 minutes. And I get it. People are going to say, well, it was the Jets. You know, it wasn't like they had Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to be honest with you. The way they played, the way both teams played, it wouldn't have mattered. I get on my show again and I say, do it again. I'm very proud of how they played Miami. Just trust the kicker. If he would have just. I get it. I get it. You know, it's just. I just wish he would have trusted Daniel Carlson. Damn it, we dropped this one. Okay, we got Kansas City on Thanksgiving weekend. We dropped it. And we dropped it bad. Next week, play Minnesota. And now I'm saying, yep, honeymoon phase is over, and we're gonna have to see how the last three games are gonna determine the future of Antonio Pierce and this staff. So go get it. 4 days later, I was there Sunday to witness a 3-0 game. I go back to that same exact stadium. 63-21. What's happening? At that point, I'm in my, as you could tell right now, reliving it. Can't believe the Lakers lost. Anyway, to the Pacers of all teams, right? Anyway, as I am right now in my emotions and, you know, how I'm describing it, I'm feeling a sort of way of, I want to believe you. And you've been, your first game against Kansas City, you had them on the ropes. We just don't have the experience yet. We don't know what we're doing. We're still trying to fill each other out. But I can tell you this, I've had more faith in you in Kansas City than I've had since Jack Del Rio. That was a long time ago, Brandon. That was a long time ago. So we got a bye week. Next game, Christmas Day. We got to go to Kansas City. When I tell you, you couldn't talk to me, I think I had like messages of Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Didn't want to answer any of them until the game was over. We beat Kansas City at Kansas City on Christmas Day. That was the last time the Chiefs lost the rest of the NFL way. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm sorry. Didn't we give you guys the blueprint on what to fucking do? At that point, that's when I knew this is going to be our guy. I don't know what's going to happen these next two games, but it doesn't matter. The Colts happen. We still have a shot at the playoffs. To this day, I still don't think Jack Jones was lined up offsides. New Year's Eve crushed me. And I said, I'm not going to feel like this. This is the last time I'm going to feel like this with Antonio Pierce. We're moving to 2024. We have nothing to play for. We're playing Denver. We have nothing to play for. Playoffs are out of the line for both of us. But the way, for the first time in a long time, the fans are starting to come back because we have one of our own as the head coach, like it's always should have been. So season's over. We beat Denver. Now I'm scared. Did Antonio Pierce do enough? Is Mark Davis going to learn his lesson, right? And he did. Antonio Pierce is now the actual head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Brandon, I can go on and on what I think about the Raiders season. What did you think about it? What did you think about this season?
It was a roller coaster, man. Seeing your season play out, you know, John Hernandez had to go. Let's be real. Let's get that out of the way. That's something I think a lot of people want to know. Yeah, he had to go. That was pretty obvious. The Jimmy Garoppolo situation, I kind of feel like it was never going to really pan out because even with Josh McDaniels, it felt like something was missing.
I just think it's time to admit that maybe Jimmy's time in the NFL is not over, but maybe Jimmy's time as an NFL starter.
There it is. And that's the thing. Listen, as far as the Raiders go, as a team, you guys didn't really get going until late in the season. And even then, you still had a chance to make playoffs. If you would have beaten the Colts, you probably would have been in the conversation of the wild card, which is crazy as you should think of, but you pretty much could have been in the conversation of the wild card. And I feel like a lot of times where teams are starting to try to like figure out who they are, it takes one piece away. You take a piece away, you add one, you start to realize, okay, this is what we can be. Antonio Pierce might not be the catchy name as a head coach, like you said. Antonio Pierce would be the head coach. What the fuck? Like, serious? This is what we're gonna go with? And then you're like, okay, maybe it is something here.
It wasn't until I got his picture with him. He's genuine. He's straight to the hip, motherfucking genuine. Because, so the backstory to that is we're not supposed to be taking pictures on that side because that's the entrance to where they can leave. And, because of security and everything. And he goes, that's why I love you. And he literally told me and my buddy, you're risking to get the cops called on you to get a picture with me. That's why I love you, motherfuckers. See you guys at the game. Because he understands us. But I think he understands us, the fans. He understands this is what we need. This is what we got to do. This is what we expect.
See, here's the thing that people don't understand about having, all of these different head coaches. Sometimes you need, see, this is the thing why Detroit works so well. Dan Campbell is a player. He knows what it takes to be a player in the NFL because he's been a player in the NFL. Maybe not to the same level of Antonio Pierce, who's won a championship, who's been a captain on a defense, nothing like that, but he knows how to build.
And let's be real. let's be real. He did make rosters. Like, it's not like he never did. He made rosters. So that's talent in itself already.
And that's the thing. Like, the thing about Antonio Pierce is that he's been at the highest level as a player. He's won Super Bowls. He's been a team captain of a defense before. He knows how to do this. So when you have that already in you, and you have the respect of the players because you've been a player and not just any player, a high level player, they listen to you a little bit differently. They're not listening to some Josh McDaniels who, okay, you coach Tom Brady, motherfucker, but I just saw Tom Brady win a ring without your ass. How much of that really was you and how much of that was really him?
It's a mix.
I saw him win a ring with Bill O'Brien. Did it really? I saw this motherfucker win a ring with
Bruce Arians.
Charlie Weiss as an offensive coordinator. I saw him win a ring with Charlie Weiss as an offensive coordinator. Do you really do anything to like, do you do anything? Like, and that's the thing. Like, that's a new point. You can be like Josh McDaniels. Like, I saw Josh McDaniels in Denver. I knew that shit was gonna end at some point because he's not mature enough. And it came up again. He's not mature enough to handle somebody saying, "Hey, man, you might need to pull the reins back a little bit. Like, you might need to ask somebody how to handle this situation." I think Antonio Pierce knows he's not a head coach. He's not that head coach. He knows that. So what is he going to do? He's going to put in the proper people that can help him get there. I'm happy that he got a chance to be the head coach. I'm actually looking forward to this. The Raiders are actually a dark horse for me. I think the Raiders can actually be a dangerous team if people don't look right. Like, the AFC West isn't so. I know. I said this last year and a couple of years from now. But Kansas City, as good as Kansas City looks, it will always wonder. You said it. They're the last team to beat Kansas City before Kansas City went on a run and won a title. That's the truth. And as much as people don't want to hear it, it doesn't change the facts. It doesn't change the facts. And with Mr. Black Air Force Ones on defense, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a pretty good team moving forward. Mr. Black Air Force Ones and coordinated as a person, as long as he's there, and he literally said, if y'all don't make this man a fucking head coach, you can just trade me. Fuck this. I don't want to be here. That's a pretty massive incentive. I'm just going to say that right here. That's a pretty massive fucking incentive. When you're literally your best player says, hey, either you make him a head coach, you can just trade me. Fuck this. I'm not dealing with another head coach that don't know what the fuck he doing. That's massive.
I think now it's more of what do they do, right? What is the key? Because let's be honest. I know they're picking 13th. And this could be said for a lot of teams. A couple plays in their favor. They're up maybe 14 more spots. Now what do you really do? I just think for me, I think when it comes to this team, I think they're still in the process of, we know how to compete for 60 minutes because they showed it. We just need to learn how to start winning within those 60 minutes. Now, I will say this. Aidan O'Connell, God bless him. I cannot imagine. Like, you have to be... Can you imagine Aidan O'Connell watching the press conference? Like, we have made the decision that we're going to ride with Aidan O'Connell the rest of the way.
That was his first decision. Imagine that shit. That was his first call as a head coach. Yeah, we're going to send Jimmy Garoppolo and start Aidan O'Connell. You know how confident you got to be and how I don't give a fuck you got to be to say that to everybody.
Because, I mean, to be fair, Antonio Pierce might have... No, not that he might have. This was his one shot. And he literally said, we're starting Aidan O'Connell. I was even like on the impression, I'm like, okay. Because I don't want to see Brian Hoyer's ass. I'm done with that. That I'm done with.
You don't want to see the Michigan Spartan man one more time in all of his glory?
I didn't even want to see him in training camp this year when I went. But he was there.
You want to see the Michigan Spartan
Yes, his glory was about like 30 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, about a decade ago. It was.
All right.
Yo, that is crazy. I've been in the league since I was in like middle school.
Yeah. I think this was his 15th year. 15th year.
Fuck out of here.
I just graduated high school, and this man just entered the NFL.
This man is the definition of a backup. I've never
The ultimate backup.
of a fucking backup.
But to his credit, the 10 games that Aiden O'Connell did play, 2,218 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. For a fourth round rookie, I can't be mad at that. I can't. How do you want me to be mad at that? How do I be mad at that? Josh Jacobs, 805 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns, 37 receptions, 296 yards. Another year, another 1,000 scrimmage yard season from Josh Jacobs. Devontae Adams, still proving why he's still one of the best in the fucking league. Having 3 different quarterbacks, he still managed to get 103 receptions, 1,144 yards, and 8 touchdowns. He had 3 quarterbacks, and he still put up those numbers.
That's a damn shame. That's a damn shame. No matter who, just give me the ball. But do what I do. I don't care. I don't care.
But I think this is where it gets interesting. Robert Spillane, a free agent that we picked up last year around this time from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh said, nah, we just draft him. You guys can have him. Anybody can have him. We got him on a cheap deal, and he ended up being one of the craziest great bargains for a free agency pickup last year. To the point where he has another great one, we have to give him a contract. Like, we have to sign him. Like, two. But it's not going to be cheap this time. It's going to be... No, it ain't going to be cheap, bro. He ended up having 148 combined tackles, 3.5 sacks, led the team, or tied with leading the team, with Trayvon Moehrig, with 3 interceptions. Now, Max Crosby is Max fucking Crosby. Of course he's going to lead the team in sacks. I mean, that's a given. That's like TJ Watt's going to lead the team in sacks. Yeah, that's fucking given, bro. Like, let's be real, bro. Like, come on. Like, yeah, of course. I mean, yeah. Like, come on. Like, yeah, Aaron Donald's going to get triple team. Yeah, no shit. No shit. But it wasn't just those guys. Understand the situation that happened. Malcolm Koonce has been waiting to play. He finally gets on the field, and in 8 games, he gets 8 sacks. He got a sack a game. Statistically, right? Tyree Wilson started to look better as the season went on. Jack Jones was like this free agent pickup where it's like the dude has all the baggage in the world. I don't want him. But apparently we do. And all he did was give us 2 incredible moments. The Charger interception. Still don't know how he fucking did that. I still don't know. Like, I'm going to just throw it away. Yeah, right. Like, yeah, right. Like, I'm just going to throw it into the stands. The fuck you are. And then Christmas Day, he literally stared down Patrick Mahomes as he returned it for a pick 6. And then on top of all that, he just made sure that kid is going to hate the Raiders for the rest of his life. Specifically, he's going to hate Jack Jones specifically for the rest of his life. Like, that kid is forever scarred to know he's going to say, fuck the Raiders, man. Like, fuck. He's like, oh, here, kid, you want the ball? Yeah, fuck you, man. Like, it's a kid, Jack. It's a kid, bro. Now that's the true definition of, man, fuck them kids, man. Like, fuck them kids, bro. So season's over. Everything happens for a reason. Here we are. So this is what happens. Obviously, let's get it out the way. Josh Jacobs goes to Green Bay. We tried. He didn't want our contract. Green Bay offered him a little bit better. That's the bottom line. That's the best way I can describe it. Bottom line. It happens. Below Nichols, I'll miss dearly, but I think he just eventually, he just didn't fit in our system anymore defensively. You could just tell he wasn't going to fit in the system no more. Jermaine Illuminor, he's been our right tackle now for 3 years. He's going to the Giants, and I wish him the best. I know he's a good right tackle or offensive line. He could do tackle or guard. So the Giants got a good one. I'm very happy he's going to continue to be a starter in the league, as he should be. This will kind of hurt. Amik Robertson, he's going to Detroit. Now, I know when you look at Amik, he's only 5'9", but he's got heart, man. And I think that's what Detroit needed, man. They needed heart. Austin Hooper, he was a great teacher for Michael Mayer in his first year, but I think Austin Hooper knew too. It's like, dude, it's Michael Mayer. He's the future tight end. And it started working out as the year went on, where he made the incredible game-winning touchdown catch against the Jets. Like, forget the throw. The throw was 50-50 at that point. The catch is like, wow. He did that. He made that catch, which I'm very happy about. Jerry Tillery. Tom Telesco is a dirty man, bro. Tom Telesco let Jerry Tillery go from the Chargers. He came to the Raiders. The Raiders hired Tom Telesco, and he fired him again. He cut his ass, bro. He had 1 more year on his contract. Yeah, he fired his ass, bro. They cut him, dude. That was messed up. And then Brandon Parker, former, he's now heading to the 49ers, and we got a comment. All right, Jack Kenna, salute brother and the nation. That's right, Jack. Let's go Raiders, man. You know it. And then Jimmy G, he's now a backup quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams. Unfortunately, he is going to have to serve a 2-game suspension due to popping. To be honest with you, I don't know what he got popped for. Was it performance-enhancing drugs? Come on, Brandon. The dude's already down in the dumps. Don't do this to him, man. Come on, Brandon. That's right, Jack. Raiders. It is what it is. So then here we go, right? Here's our free agency so far. Harrison Bryant, tight end from Cleveland. He's not going to be coming here as obviously the number 2 tight end. I don't expect him to be the number 1 tight end. I expect it to be a 2. And he's a little bit more of a solid blocker than Austin Hooper was. So that's going to help out, especially with the way the offense that Antonio Pierce is trying to build. Alexander Madison, we know now this. He's not a number 1, but he's an excellent change of pace back. But you got to have somebody to be, in front of him, Gardner Minshew, Minshew Mania, is coming to Vegas, as we all know now. But I think surprisingly, I think the craziest signing for the Raiders was Christian Wilkins is now a Las Vegas Raider. Can I say both? I'm happy that Christian Wilkins is here. And then just to, make sure for good measures, we're good. just for good measures that we're good on the defensive line side, we re-signed John Jenkins and Adam Butler just to make sure that we're on the good side of defensive tackles. So that's done, right? That's good. Then Antonio Pierce brings in Alex Van Pelt to be the new offensive coordinator. Not my first choice, honestly. I thought the guy from Tampa was going to be available. I thought there was other candidates. Or not Alex Van Pelt. I'm so sorry. Luke Getsy. I don't know why Alex Van Pelt just came in my head. I don't know if I think they talked about him today or something. I don't know, but he was in my head today. But Luke Getsy is now the new offensive coordinator for the Raiders. So I have a feeling I know what they want to do as an offense. Now, here's my thing. And then we got a couple of comments. Raiders need to sign a DB, trade for JR5, or drop their right tackle and then move Munford to RG. We're going to get to that in a minute, Jack. We're going to get and absolutely 100%. Wilkerson is here. He's going to be playing alongside Max Crosby. That's dope. That's dope. Look, Zamir White, say what you want. But when he had to take over because Josh couldn't go, he did his thing. He did his job. So I think that also played into the fact that, hey, we're willing to see what this kid can do at a cheaper option, right? Overall, Brandon, your grade, offseason wise, for the Las Vegas Raiders.
It's like every grade that I've been given out. It's a A minus. You're an A minus.
Oh, well.
Mr. Wilkins' pickup was damn near on stuff. Like, what the fuck? Who saw that coming? Like, nobody saw that coming. And it was like, what the fuck? What? Like that was a good time. You lose John Jacobs, which, yeah, it hurts, but it's like you said, Zadarius White, he was right. He was right. I do believe he's right.
And there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that Zamir White can improve on, right? And like Jack says, Zeus needs to learn vision. Not sure he has it. Time will tell. Yeah, I mean, of course, but I mean, again, he's a young running back,
And if you guys decide to go with a quarterback at 13, Gardner Minshew is not a bad backup. I mean, he literally took the coach almost to the goddamn playoffs last year and won the division, by the way. So it's not that bad of a pickup for a veteran. All veterans, if you're gonna get a veteran like that, that's not a bad veteran to get. I saw Anthony Richardson, who when he went down, everybody's like, oh shit, what the fuck is the coach gonna do? And then they literally almost won the division.
The way I look at the Gardner, here's the thing about the Raiders, right? And I've been struggling with this for 12 picks now, right? After their whole free agency ended and their whole free agency went through, the only thing I said was, okay, so the Raiders, I literally put this in my head. The Raiders are either going to go corner, offensive lineman, and it doesn't matter which one. Center, guard, tackle, they're going somewhere, right? Or quarterback. Quarterback's an option here. Especially with how some of the reports are coming out. You would damn think, like, man. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I just think for me, I think it's Tom Telesco, AP, two weird end of the spectrums when it comes to football minds, right? Tom Telesco, we know who he is. He's the former general manager of the Los Angeles Chargers. Listen, you're not a general manager for 10 years if you don't have a good track record, right? Like it's hard to keep a job like that for 10 years. Like you have to done your job. So Tom Telesco, now, was every pick a success? No. Name me a general manager that every pick is a success, right? Come on. It happens. But the fact that you were a general manager for 10 years has to give me a little bit of hope of, damn. And it's like yesterday. when we talked about the Lions, just a perfect storm. As a fan, I'm very hopeful that this is our perfect storm. We got a football mind in the general manager office who's going to give you the right ingredients. You just have to coach them. So for the first time in a long time, the Raiders actually have an owner who's going to be an owner, a general manager who's actually going to be a general manager, and a head coach who's just going to focus on the coaching staff and the players. That sounds like a normal NFL franchise to me. Something that we haven't had in a very, very long time.
I think we talked about this last night. We said that what did we say last night? When you have a coach that's a coach, a GM that's a GM, and an owner that's an owner, that's what you want as a franchise. That's what's supposed to be the thing. That's why San Francisco is successful. That's why Kansas City is successful. That's why Philly is successful. The reason why the Cowboys can never get over the hump is because the fucking owner is the GM and probably the head coach too, if I'm not mistaken. Last time I checked. Last time I checked, he's the head coach too. Shit, it's just I don't know.
It's a thing, and we have a couple. I mean, come on, Now we do have a couple comments here from Jack. Jack, thank you so much for the support today. I'm hoping the Raiders draft Audric Esteen from Notre Dame. Watched every year at Notre Dame, and he reminds me of Josh Jacobs. Yeah, he does have that. And, here's Jack for the Raiders right now. Number 1 is quarterback. Number 2 is right tackle. Number 3 is defensive back. The offensive tackle is very good for the Raiders at pick number 13. If no quarterback is there, it's right tackle for me. Okay. I mean, and that's the thing, right? It's not a secret, right? I think the Raiders right now, it's no secret. You know what I mean? Because they kind of signed everything that they needed to kind of sign, and now they're just going to wait for the draft. Because I think what they're building is they're going to build the draft. They're going to get the money from their post-1 cuts, and then whatever free agents are there to build or fill holes, you could just get them on the cheap end now because they're free agents. So, again, Tom Telesco's doing his job, and Antonio Pierce is going to do it for the first time, and I'm hopeful as a Raider fan, for the first time, perfect storm. Okay? Just perfect storm. I mean, this is what it is. I think so too, and it really does depend who falls there. And then Jack, I know you're just joining us, but me and my friend, what we do is we get on every day and we make our picks of 1 through 12. So it's like I said, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what we do here. And Jack, I thank you for the support today, my man. I appreciate it. I'm always happy when Raider Nation is here, because nobody understands what I go through more than you do, because you see me every week when we do our pick'em show. But when it comes from an actual Raider fan too, he knows what I go through too, man. He knows what I go through too. Yeah, he knows what I went through. But here we go. All said and done. The staff's in place. The players are in place. I mean, we can still do some free agent moves, but obviously that's not today, because obviously the day's over. And, our day's almost over. And so we got to go with what we know now. So here we go. Brandon, all said and done. Who do you have the Raiders taking at 13?
Nate Wiggins, cornerback, Clemson. Listen. I could have went a lot of places, like you said, offensive line. You guys need that. I could even went maybe receiver even too, because I don't think you guys are gonna keep hitting 100 with throw pass this season. Not really.
Well, no, we already cut him. He gone. Yeah, we cut him. He's a put it like this: he's a post June 1st. So once we've officially, as we speak right now, he is gone, but we won't see the money until after June 1st. Again, great pickup, by the way.
Yeah, you got your left tackle and Cole Miller, who's there already. You got Mr. Black Air Force Ones on defense, Max Crosby. You got Christian Wilkins.
Mr. Black Air Force Ones.
Air Force Ones in human form, and Max Crosby. You got Christian Wilkins, Tyrese Wilson, who came on late last year and really started putting it on as the season progressed last year for you. He's still there. A lot of people forget that he's there. He's still there. So look at the roster. I'm like, okay, what the hell does the Raiders need? I know you guys got DJ Fluker, which, you know.
Yeah, it's a
It's up and down.
it's a thing. It's a thing. Okay.
But again, like I did last year when I talked about the Raiders, what is the first thing I said? You guys need a cornerback. I thought you would have taken one last year. Of course, you know, Devin Witherspoon got drafted before he didn't get to the Raiders situation, which made the Raiders say, you know what, maybe we need to maybe trade off the damn thing. This is the guy that we were pretty much going to go get. You might have should have thought about Christian Gonzalez. I'm just saying that you probably should have.
It would have been nice. That's who I had in my board last year.
But I kind of said the Raiders needed a cornerback last year. So it's pretty ironic that, again, for the second straight year, I'm taking a cornerback for the fucking Raiders. What? Oh, be taking picks. I told the Chargers take a running back. We wouldn't probably be in a situation to win. I've told teams that this is probably what you should do. Right after fucking game. Maybe you're like, maybe I have to wait a year later.
I think you're just a year off. I think you're a year off. I think you're a year off, bro. Because you always have that knack. You're always a year off, bro. You're always a year off. Oh, come on. Jeremiah Trotter was just as good. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Jack. So for he's my buddy, and he's on Instagram Live. So he's on our page, the All Sports Talk podcast. He's on our page. Basically, what he just did is at 13, he went with Nate Wiggins, cornerback from Clemson. That's what he did. That's what he did. So listen, I'm not mad at it because it is a need. Like, let's be real, it is a need. Corner isn't, and I know we have Nate Hobbs and I know we have Jack Jones, but is Jacorian Bennett ready to step up to take the slide? Is Brandon Faison going to be healthy to take to come back and play? A corner here is not that bad because the thing is this: Nate Wiggins will play, and he could play inside. He can play outside. He's shown that, so it's not a bad pick. And of course, you had your Al Davis moment where, oh yeah, he ran the fastest 40. Actually, the thing was this: for Brandon, my buddy, he took Nate Wiggins, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, basically he already took every. Well, surprisingly, in his world, Joe Alt is still out there. Okay. Well, he kind of vouched for him during the meeting. He did vouch for Aiden O'Connell.
Feels like Aiden O'Connell could be his guy. And even if you can't, you got somebody, like I said, a veteran in Gardner Minshew, who's there, who's ready to go, just in case. So it's not like you don't have anything. And that's the thing. I don't think you guys really need a quarterback like that. A lot of people might have you taking a quarterback just because it would make sense. And I know they were at the Jaden Daniels, workout yesterday. personally, I don't think the Raiders need a quarterback because it's like you can take one later.
You can.
Wasting a 13th pick on something that you are not going to be 100% invested in. I don't know.
Well, no, okay. So you say I'm glad you brought that up. You said invested in, right? Well, we're hearing this reports of smoke, right, as we like to call it. Uh and I know, Jack. I don't know. Joe Alt is the best offensive tackle in the draft. I get it. I get it. It's just in his world, he's still out there, and I'm like, something's up, man. Either Brandon, you know something that I don't, or what's going on, man? Well, I mean, that's what he played at UCLA too. Yeah, I mean, I would say this. I know Colton Miller could pick up the right tackle a little bit faster than Joe Alt.
And this is a great offensive lineman track. It's not like you don't have any offensive linemen. It's not like you don't have any offensive linemen.
I at this point when it comes to quarterbacks in this draft, I don't know because it's just a crapshoot at this point, you know. I get it. I get it. Yeah, I get it. I get it. No, I will say this. I think a lot of people would have a little weird taste because it's like, well, you guys already have a good defense. Why do you want to add a corner knowing that you can get a corner? But the thing is, how many of them are going to be Nate Wiggins? You know, we don't know. You know, so it's not a bad pickup. It's just their team would be here. But here's the thing, though, too. You're going to get those analysts. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe you passed up the two Alabama kids. Yeah, yeah, of course I'm going to pass them up. Of course. Did you not see Nate Wiggins play last year? Of course. It's a little weird. It's a little thing. It's a toss up. It's a toss up. And I will say this. I will say this in Jack's defense. Like I said, it's just a little weird. It's a little weird, but I'm not mad at Nate Wiggins. And then off the top of my head, well, let's go like this because the quarterback situation for you is already kind of dwindling down because you already kind of took everybody early. I still have. Yeah. So here's the funny thing. He's the first defensive back taken in this whole draft, Jack. Because his question is, what defensive backs were already drafted at pick number 13? Or I think he meant to say like what defensive backs were already drafted before pick 13. So before, I mean, me and him, he's the first. My buddy Brandon, Nate Wiggins is the first defensive back off the board. Yeah, a safety corner. He's the first one. So, like I said, I'm not mad at the pick. I'm not mad at it. It's just I get it.
cannot pick just any fucking person when you just literally told the team you're bankrupt for them for at least a year. At least 3 years.
Which I'm sure me and Jack would find very funny.
I just feel like right now with the
Um,
Raiders, they're the only team that don't really need a quarterback. They got 2, and I think they just
well,
in one of them.
but we do though, because Gardner Minshew is a low starter, high end backup. Aiden O'Connell, we don't know because we only got 10 games, but even in those 10 games, we got a little bit of, there was a couple things where it just didn't look right. I'm not saying that he's a bad quarterback. It's just, is that what you want to bank on your future, right? Now, in my world,
It's like I said with the Chicago Bears. You give the coach, you give the franchise their offensive weapon, their offensive player, but then you give the coach something, and that's defense. Same there with the Raiders. I feel like you wouldn't have brought in Gardner Minshew and kept Aiden O'Connell if you didn't believe that you're probably going to get a quarterback later, but not at all.
yes. Yeah, so I think in Jack's case, pretty much the kid's name from Toledo, Quayon Mitchell. That's his number 1 defensive back. Wiggins is number 2, and Arnold is number 3. By the way, Mitchell, just as good too. Just as good. But, okay, so Nate Wiggins. Brandon went with Nate Wiggins. So, I went back and forth with this last night. I really did.
I said, just say it. Go ahead, say it. Go ahead. Come on. Go ahead, say it.
With the 13th pick in this year's NFL draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Michael Penix Jr., quarterback, Washington. Brandon, I'm so sorry, man. I was this close. But see, here's the thing, Jack. The rules are we can't trade. We just do a pick. So that's the thing. It's just we can't trade. We got to do just straight. We just do straight. Now, here's the thing at 13. I know it would be in Jack's, and what Jack is saying. At pick 13, would Michael Penix Jr. be a bad pick? It wouldn't be a bad pick. It's just he's not going to play right away. And let me explain the theory why. So, Gardner Minshew, I get it. Low-end starter, high-end quality backup, right? Because in order for this to work, one, everything has to be good. Everything has to be good for Gardner Minshew to win and to get into the playoffs. We're not there. Okay, we're not there. We're not the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, we're not all any of that. We're not the 49ers. Okay, we're still a build in progress.
When it comes to Gardner Minshew, though, for what he does, do you not think he could work?
I think in a sense it could work.
Because my thing is with the Gardner Minshew thing, if the Raiders are actually not going to pull a card, like fire Tony Pierce after the first fucking season, like a lot of people do, if they're going to actually let him build, this season is just a one-off.
But do you risk of passing him up if he's there, and then you don't know what the future quarterback classes look like?
But here's the thing, he's going on, so I can't really speak on that.
But you know what I'm talking about, right? Exactly, Jack. Fuck the Niners, man.
He's technically going on, so I
You know what? You know where I'm going with, right? Like, you know what I'm doing, right? Like, you know what I'm building off of. Like, do you really want to wait for another quarterback draft class? And do you think you're even going to have an opportunity?
if he was on my board, I definitely would take Gardner Minshew. I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't take Gardner Minshew.
So that's the first thing. Aiden O'Connell, listen, man. You did great for us. There's a reason you won in the 4th. Because no, there was a couple games where it's like, dude, Minnesota? Really?
That was Minnesota's
I get that, but it's like, dude, we got to get more than 3. Like the fact that our defense did that too. It's like, come on. You had 0 completions against the Kansas City Chiefs in the second half. 0. Again, that's great and all and dandy. Again, great, fine, dandy that our defense did its job this year. But eventually, push comes to shove, you have to get your franchise quarterback. You have to get your quarterback. And I'm not saying that. And the crazy thing about it is, Michael Penix Jr., people are worried, what about the injuries? Two things. Number one, I saw him run the 40 yesterday, and I saw him do the vertical jump and the broad jump. His knees, shins, everything that you're worried about, they look fine. Number two, if he were to come to the Raiders, he doesn't have to play right away. Like you said, it is a one-off. But now you got your guy in the building. That's your guy. You groom him. You build him. Again, perfect storm. It was too much for me to pass him up. Because I'm not going to lie to you, Brandon, I almost went Nate Wiggins right here too. Because I would love to see Nate Hobbs, Jack Jones, and Nate Wiggins in the secondary and be like, okay, pass rushers, you go get the ball carrier, you go get the quarterback, we will get the ball. I get it. If RG5 is available, hey, Jack, I'm with you, man. I get it. I get it, bro. I understand completely. But it's just too much to pass up for me here. It's too much for me to pass up knowing he doesn't have to play right away. We can groom him. He can get healthier. And let's be real with this, right? Let's be real with this. People want to talk about his age, all right? Like it's such a bad thing. He will be 24 when the season starts. 24. Bo Nix doesn't need guidance to rent cars on, like, he doesn't need a co-signer to rent out cars. He can rent out cars on his own now. Okay. So I get it. And listen, you had Michael Penix Jr. at number 2. Number 2. I just have this weird feeling that if he were to fall to 13. And the reason I took him here is because I went to the Pac-12 championship game this year at Allegiant. I was there. And I said to myself, man, it'd be sweet. It'd be sweet. And here's the thing. I know a lot of people are going to get into it too. But in today's NFL, you have to be mobile. Michael Penix Jr. only had 8 rushing yards. Did you see his offensive line this year? The best offensive line unit in college football this season. He doesn't have to run. But last year, he had 92 yards and 4 touchdowns. So, I mean, you define mobility. You define it. I think for me, it would be too much to pass up here. I get it. In my world, would Mims be a good spot for right tackle? Amiris Mims be a good spot here. Would the center from Oregon, we move him inside to guard? Would he be a great fit? Probably. Do we roll with Thayer Munford, the right tackle, for another year? What do we, there, of course, there's a lot of options. Yeah, Nate Wiggins, Quayon Mitchell would be great. Isn't it about time we get our guy, though? And I'm asking Raider Nation as a whole. Isn't it time we get our guy? I get it, Jack. I mean, to move up to number 3, that is going to be a lot of juice. That's going to be a lot of juice to move up. My thing is this. It's about time, and I'm speaking for all of Raider Nation right now, on our YouTube page and our, Instagram page. Isn't it time we got our quarterback? And not just, we signed someone away because they didn't want him anymore. And we just, we were going to, like the Jim Plunkett's, the Carson Palmers, the Jason Campbells, those guys. The only 2 quarterbacks that we've had that we drafted, Ken Stabler, Derek Carr, those were our guys. One a little bit more popular than the other, depending on who you talk to. One a little bit more popular than the other. 2 different eras of quarterbacks, though. I want you to keep this in mind. 2 different eras of quarterbacks, okay? And here's the crazy thing about it. If we went with Michael Penix Jr., and I know what exactly was going to happen, and here we go, right on cue. Jack said, and Penix is a lefty. Do you really want Mumford to be the right tackles if the Raiders draft him? I'm not sure. But at that point, there's a reason our offense was really bad. And I know there's an offensive lineman. I know I can get an offensive lineman in the 2nd round. I have a plan in place. And I think me and Tom Telesco have a plan in place. But if the cards were to fall my way, and if Michael Penix Jr. is there at number 13, it's just too hard for me to pass up. It would be too hard. It would be too hard for me to pass up. Because, and here's the thing, it couldn't have to be this year. And like I mentioned, he doesn't have to play this year. We can groom him. We can do whatever we want. But isn't it time we get our guy? So Raider Nation, meet our guy. Michael Penix Jr., quarterback, Washington. I'm trying to convince the people because I think some of the people really believe he's not worth the attribution of a 1st-round quarterback. I know me and you are on the same page. I get that. Listen, Brandon took Michael Penix Jr. at pick number 2. So that tells you everything. So I have confidence in him. But my friend over here took him at number 2 to Washington, and I'm like, that is the ultimate confidence. I'm like, holy crap. When that happened, I said, holy crap, what happened? What just happened? Yeah, that was it's just to me, it's like this. It's just time for us to get our franchise quarterback. It's our turn. I saw the Chargers draft Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees, and Justin Herbert. The Denver Broncos went from John Elway to Jay Cutler to Peyton Manning, and now this plethora. The Kansas City Chiefs finally got it right with Patrick Mahomes, and after they had Alex Smith. It's our turn. It's our turn to get a franchise quarterback. I know it's going to be unconditional or unconventional to take him at 13. I get it. I understand the concern at 13. But damn it, it's our turn. I'm just hyped up, damn it.
Every single fucking person is going to get fired the next fucking year.
I remember that.
The next fucking year.
Now that is a funny history though. The Raiders tried to trade Howie Long and the number 2 pick and a second round pick for John Elway, and the league blocked it. Man, that's so weird.
Which is not true because they want Howie Long at first. Then the Bears came back and was like, well, you know, because NFL told us to ask you now to get Howie Long. They're like, yeah, we ain't doing that shit. They're like, yeah, we ain't doing that shit. So it just you don't have to convince me that Michael Penix Jr. is the best quarterback in the draft. I already know this shit. He's already gone. Like, I already know. I've watched this man. I've seen him. I know he can play. Like, you get him at 13 as the best fucking draft pick on the fucking market. I don't even give a shit what happens the rest of the damn draft. If he falls to 13, you gotta get a franchise quarterback. I don't know what the fuck you were talking about. They do it a franchise quarterback. What the fuck are you looking at? How is he getting shitted on when J.J. McCarthy is on the top of the picks? Make that shit makes sense. The man that was literally one of the best quarterbacks in the entire fucking league in college football. You know how many college fucking football teams there are?
There's a lot.
He was first with QBR. Like, what the fuck? What are you watching? What are you looking at? What is this going on? What the fuck is happening? His name is the Raiders draft and the Raiders won the draft. I don't give a shit which y'all do the rest of the draft. Y'all won the draft. I don't give a shit. I don't care what you do. I don't care. I don't care what happens the rest of the draft. We won the draft.
How pissed would you be?
Franchise quarterback. What the fuck is happening?
You guys were. I know. I'm sorry, man. I know. Brandon, if I could, I would have, man. But it's just, it's our time, man. It's our time for. It's our time. It's our time. I don't get. I mean, hey, it is what it is. It is what. I mean, listen, it's their right to rank them how they want to rank them, and we rank them how we want to rank them. It's not that nobody is, more intelligent than the other. It's just, it is what it is. We just have different opinions, and that's how it is. Doesn't mean we have to agree, but it is what it is. Now, as far as Jack, yes, I do watch other channels. I try to watch them all. As far as like Raider content from, Mitch Renz, Sanjit, Hondo Carpenter, the beat writers and everything. So I try to watch. And then obviously me living in Vegas, I do listen to Raider Nation radio on my way to home. So it's just, Brandon, you can't take the smile off my face, man, knowing that.
When we're in Vegas and pick 13 comes up and they say Michael Penix Jr., I'm going to look at you and be like, you won. I don't know what to fucking tell you.
I don't care what people say, but you won. Go, get out of here.
Notion that Michael Penix Jr., because of his injury history, isn't the best quarterback in the draft. You're going to this is literally a setup for people's teams that fell the next 7 years. This is the dumbest shit on the planet. I've never seen people sit up there and try to tell me because of J.J. McCarthy having to hand the ball off for 2 80-yard touchdowns in the fucking championship game. He's the better quarterback. What the fuck are you looking at? I'm going to shave these ace in interviews. You can't ace a football field.
I get it. I understand you, brother. I understand you. It's just, I just, like I said, if Nate Wiggins is the name at 13, I wouldn't be upset either. Like, let's get that out of the way. I remember that show. With OG Daniels and the Chronicles of the Black Hole. That was a good show. It wasn't. Man, that was a really fun show to watch. That's what actually got me wanting to do this little by little, like watching the rest of the Raider content. So that's dope as hell. That's dope as hell.
Listen, the Raiders came out well in this situation. Either you get, your cornerback, or you get your quarterback.
Or you get an offensive lineman, depending on how the offensive lineman fell. Because I saw drafts where the kid from Penn State fell. If the kid from Penn State falls to 13, and
which is the most ridiculous shit on the planet.
if we draft him too, I would look at you and be like this.
You win anyway. I don't know why the fuck he's falling. I have no idea what's going on. What the
I don't know if that injury from the combine just made everybody freak out, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But you know, it's just one of those things. So, just to recap, my brother Brandon here went with Nate Wiggins at number 13. I need this to be a reality. Michael Penix Jr., I need this to be a reality for the Raiders. At 13. I mean, and here's the thing. If we trade in, if Michael Penix Jr. just becomes a Raider at any point during this draft process, it's okay. I'm going to get fucked up that day. I don't care what happens the rest of round one. I'm getting fucked up. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So, Brandon went with Nate Wiggins. I went with Michael Penix Jr. You guys let us know in the comments. You guys let us know in this video on whether it's on YouTube, Instagram Live. So, on Instagram, at All Sports Talk Podcast, what would you guys do? Defense, offense, Nate Wiggins, Michael Penix Jr., or other? Here, you're more than welcome to leave the comment as well. Jack, appreciate you for the time. I appreciate you for the support today. Please share with the rest of Raider Nation. You know, I always do a show during the season on Tuesdays. I do shows on Tuesdays during the season called the Silver and Bro Show. I get on, talk about the game, you know, the weeks prior, look forward to the game. So, you know, when the season starts, I hope I get to see you there too. I'll be back. You know, me and my brother, we will do our usual Raider draft show the Wednesday before the draft and everything. So it's going to be fun. So hopefully you guys can make it there. Please tell, you know, rest of Raider buddies, all of us, you know, so that way we can all hook up and everything. Brandon, as always, you know, always awesome to see you, my man. It's always good talking to you. We will be back tomorrow. So tomorrow it is going to be a double feature, though. We are going to be doing picks 14 and 15 because Sunday is Easter, and I don't think I'm going to have enough time. I don't think none of us are going to have enough time to talk about anything on Sunday. So 14 and 15 tomorrow. So tomorrow it's going to be the Saints. I'm so sorry, Brandon. I know. I'm so sorry, Brandon. Yeah, I'm. Trust me, dude. I thought of you when I was doing this, but I got your back tomorrow. You had my back today. I got your back tomorrow, man. Just trust me. All right. You know, same to you, Jack. It was great to meet you too, my man. Great to meet you. You know, please like, subscribe the video, you know, subscribe to the channel. So when it is time for Raider football season, I will be on. Brandon, as always, my man, it's always awesome talking to you. I'll see you tomorrow for the Saints at 14, Colts at 15. And then, you know, next week, we'll announce it tomorrow as far as what the schedule will look like tomorrow or next week. And then we'll go from there. But until then, just keep your eyes open. Now that we're here, Brandon, what time would be best time for you for tomorrow? Because I do have something around 10ish. So we can either do it early morning or a little bit in the afternoon. If it were up to me, I would say maybe 7:30 my time, 9:30 your time. All right, sounds good to me, man. Sounds good to me. I will see you tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Your time. So all good for me. But Brandon, as always, my man, take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Jack, thank you so much. We'll try to see you tomorrow for the Colts and the Saints. 14 and 15 are tomorrow, so please tune in. Until then, everybody have a wonderful night. Happy Friday to everybody that celebrates it. Please take care. Be safe. Peace.